Hello, good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo to present the news tonight. Our top stories in the news: government offers fresh deal to MILINGO LUNGU over his freedom. LUSAKA-NDOLA dual carriageway concession agreement signed under the public-private partnership. Parliamentarians question the stay of 22 Afghans seeking asylum in Zambia. In international news, Nigerian opposition parties protest compromised election. And in sports news, soccer fans in Lusaka disappointed at Zambia's exit at the Under-20 AFGHAN.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 61 07 55 or 0762 166018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
Hello, now the news in detail. The Energy Regulation Board, ERB, has adjusted the pump price of petrol upward by 1 kwacha 30 ngwe per litre, while the pump price of diesel and kerosene have remained unchanged. ERB Board Chairperson Reynolds Obowa says 1 litre will now be selling at 28 kwacha 52 ngwe from 27 kwacha 22 ngwe. Mr. Obowa says prices remained high on the international market in February 2023, further attributing the sustained oil prices to a combination of factors such as continued world inflation and recession, coupled with continued speculation of further Russian production cuts. He adds that the combined effects of the two factors, which are the exchange rate and international oil prices, has resulted in an upward adjustment in the price of petrol, which was above the 2.5% wholesale price trigger band.
Has adjusted the pump price of petrol upwards by 1 kwacha 13 ngwe per litre, while the pump prices of diesel and kerosene have remained unchanged. Further, the ERB has also maintained the retail and post-airfield prices for Jet A1 at Kenneth Kaunda International Airports and other local airports unchanged. In the previous price review for February 2023, the average prices of petrol, diesel, and kerosene on the international market were $87.95 per barrel, $108.96 per barrel, $108.66 per barrel respectively, compared to $92.58 per barrel, $106.28 per barrel, and $106.01 per barrel respectively for the March 2023 fuel price review. These movements represent an increase of 5.27% for petrol and a reduction of 2.45% and 2.44% for diesel and kerosene respectively. Generally, international oil prices remained high during the month of February 2023. The sustained high oil prices are attributed to the combination of factors.
President Hakainde Hichilema has with immediate effect terminated the contract of Mr. Moya Lumumba as Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development. The termination is pursuant to the provision of Article 92, as read with Article 270 of the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia. The President has since thanked Mr. Lumumba for his services rendered to the country and has wished him well for the future. This is according to a statement issued by State House Chief Communications Specialist Clayson Hamasaka. The family of the late 13-year-old Frank Mogala, who was shot by police in 2020, has asked the Lusaka High Court to order for the arrest of Kapila and Mubita, both officers from Emersdale Police Station, for murdering the deceased. Kennedy Mugala, an administrator of the estate of the late Frank Mugala, has submitted that the subordinate court in its verdict established that the officers killed the deceased while they were trying to disperse residents during the gassing incident in Chazanga compound. More in this report.
Close to 4 years since 13-year-old Frank Mugala, a former grade 8 pupil at Chazanga Primary School, was shot dead by a police officer, the family is still demanding for justice. In the latest submissions before the High Court, the family has requested the court to order for the arrest of Kapila and Mubita, both officers from Emersdale Police Station, for murdering the deceased. This is in a matter in which the family has cited the Attorney General, the Inspector General of Police and the 2 officers, and is seeking compensation. Kennedy Mugala, an administrator of the estate of the late Frank Mugala, has submitted that the subordinate court in its verdict established that the officers killed the deceased while they were trying to dispense residents during the gassing incident in Chazanga compound. The family has argued that there is no way the 2 named officers can be misjoined from the current proceedings as they are part. Their argument follows the state submissions that the 2 officers should be misjoined from the proceedings. In 2020, the 13th of February, the deceased was killed during the Zambia Police Service operation by a bullet when the officers were trying to dispense residents who were protesting after a rumor went round that individuals suspected of being involved in ritual killings through gassing unsuspecting victims with paralyzing chemicals were hiding at the school. After his death, several stakeholders called for justice to prevail and those responsible for his death to be brought to book. This led to an inquest being opened, and it was later established by the Lusaka's Magistrate Court that a trigger-happy police officer whose identities were concealed by the investigations officer caused the death of the 13-year-old Frank Mugala. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Director of Public Prosecutions has applied before the Economic Financial Crimes Court, a High Court division, that it be allowed to confiscate assets alleged to have been corruptly acquired by the former Konkola Copper Mines provisional liquidator, MILINGO LUNGU. The DPP's application is seeking the forfeiture of more than 40 million United States dollars alleged to have been stolen by Mr. Lungu from the mining company. The DPP has filed a non-conviction-based forfeiture order for the 3 accounts with tainted property be forfeited to the state pursuant to Section 29 and 31 of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime. Non-conviction-based forfeiture laws allow courts to confiscate assets of a criminal nature even where no conviction has been obtained in relation to criminal conduct. More in this report.
Former Konkola Copper Mines provisional liquidator MILINGO LUNGU is still in a fix for allegedly stealing millions of kwacha from the mining company, as the state is now reclaiming the wealth. The Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, has applied before the Economic Financial Crimes High Court Division to be allowed to get back the asset he is alleged to have illegally obtained. The DPP wants the court to forfeit more than 40 million United States dollars alleged to have been stolen by Mr. Lungu from the mining company. The DPP has applied for a non-conviction-based forfeiture order for the 3 accounts with tainted property to be forfeited to the state pursuant to Section 29 and 31 of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime. Non-conviction-based forfeiture laws allows courts to confiscate illegally obtained wealth without a conviction being secured for wrongdoing. The state has demonstrated before courts that Mr. Lungu stole 40 million United States dollars belonging to KCM by unlawfully transferring it to his private account and converting the same to his own use. According to an affidavit in support of notice of motion, Drug Enforcement Commission Senior Investigations Officer Moffat Chilonda has submitted that in 2021 the Commission received the said report that Mr. Lungu had allegedly taken advantage of his position at KCM as the provisional liquidator and stole the said funds. During investigations, the Commission said it established that Mr. Lungu opened a miscellaneous realization account where the said monies were later transferred to. The state further submits that the seized amount in different accounts are tainted property because they are proceeds of crime obtained from illegal and unlawful transactions, hence submitting that the case is fit for the court to grant a forfeiture order as the properties in issue are tainted. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
And still in court news, the Lusaka Magistrate Court under the Specialized Economic Financial Crimes Court has directed the Anti-Corruption Commission to expedite the case in which former President Edgar Lungu's economic advisor Hibene Mwinga is facing 72 counts of corruption-related charges. The court has noted that the matter dragged to come to its conclusion, thus the need for a speedy trial. Hibene Mwinga, his wife Messi Mosanja Mwinga, his son Hagaintu Mwinga and Ahekaik Palm Limited Company are charged with 72 counts of being in possession of property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime valued at more than 41 million kwacha and more than 238,900 United States dollars cash suspected to be proceeds of crime. The properties include, among others, a house in Kingsland City, a double-story flat in Napsa Housing Complex in Ibex Hill, motor vehicles, and 2 properties in Chililabombwe. Business has come to a standstill along Y Road of Makeni Villa, Ward 14 in Kanyama constituency as a result of stagnant flood water resulting from heavy rains. In an interview with Camnet News, one of the affected residents, Margaret Njovu, explains that while the area has a water extraction machine from the Lusaka City Council, it has been parked for 2 weeks now since running out of fuel, meaning that it cannot service the rest of the community. Meanwhile, Makeni Villa Ward 14 Councillor Fred Mumba says he is still soliciting for fuel as the local authority is under pressure as many areas of the city are flooded. More in this report.
The floods that have hit some parts of the country have not only displaced many from their homes, but also brought businesses to a standstill in some areas after their premises have been flooded. This has become a cause of concern for many entrepreneurs who say the flood situation is causing many of them to plunge into poverty as customers are not willing to come to their premises while they are flooded. This is the scenario that has affected residents of Y Road in Makeni Villa, Ward 14 in Lusaka. The affected residents have accused Area Councillor Fred Mumba of being selective in the extraction of water, stating that extraction is being done in places which already have drainages, leaving adversely affected parts of the community. They further explained that one of the extraction machines is even now parked as it has run out of fuel, but has never serviced the area.
Kuli machine yani practice yankala 2 weeks but kuno siwa ile doctor bwati pompolo le kumanzi tifula neso bwati tandi zile kumanzi manyumba tavutika wana ma mosquito but machine is packed for 2 weeks machine vichani malifangika bali kama vyo bwati tandi za nice
paka bapa yini gulisira bantu mukaona mazi yali kuno bantu sanga pita ino road bantu wanale kopita siwa pitako kamba kakuti kuli manzi kozi muntu sanga bwele kutabwele kule mu bapite che manzi ati chifukwa bali na bani ndili kule mu sanga pita. Manzi last time manzi ukuyezopita chifukwa cha ku offense yose kweze libe yamene wanarundi lako manzi yezopita kwa at least yaenda kwa maje pali manzi siyapita business kulibe ungankale kuchoka kuseni mpaka usiku ugulisa 20 kwacha mimi nikagulisa 20 kwacha nzati nayo chani zati chani kulipe sinzati
ine nigulisira hapa demonera hapa penitandikira ni mumanzi. Ero bakastoma kuliba amene apitirako. Ero veni gulisa ni mafruits. Mafruits siyafunika konkhala 3-4 days. Pamozi na pamozi. Funika mafruti yaenda. Every day ni order. Manje nikangiwa kuorder. Mlandu akabati manzi yanivaliza. Mukarangana tebo yanga ili mumanzi. Apa pe nilipira marentos. Sinizwa na landlord venza mpasa ino month. Nina survive last month ninakwanisa but ino month nilibiletu.
We also spoke to Makeni Villa Ward 14 Councillor Fred Mumba.
I've reached a point where I've run out of gas, I've run out of diesel. Although tomorrow again I've raised something, in the morning I'll push it somewhere. No wonder the parking. You know, I try to move around to search for diesel so that the work can continue, but as at now, we don't have that fortune. That's why there's a silence in terms of parking that machine.
He has assured that once the machine is filled with fuel, it will be able to service other parts of the community systematically. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The father of an 11-year-old boy in Mtendere Section C of Lusaka has accused police officers at Mtendere Police of refusing to help him after his son was bitten by a dog which has a known owner in the community. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Isaac Banda states that his son was recently bitten by a dog on his bottom and inner thighs, but alleges that police officers at Mtendere Police have not been helpful, as they have all been claiming ignorance of the case whenever he follows up. He has expressed worry over the health of his son, as a 7-year-old boy recently died in the same community after being bitten by a dog with rabies. Meanwhile, Zambia Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale has committed to ensuring that the victim gets justice over the case. More in this report.
Just a few weeks after the life of a young boy was lost after allegedly being bitten by a dog with rabies in Lusaka's Mtendere C compound, another case of a dog bite has been reported in the same area. This is a situation which has been happening in many parts of the country, as families with dog bite victims keep fighting for justice with alleged uncooperative dog owners. This affected Father Isaac Banda explains that his 11-year-old boy, named after him, was bitten by a dog on his bottom part and inner thighs as he was on his way to play football within the community when one of the neighbor's dogs ran out of the gate and attacked him. He, however, alleges that the dog owner has been uncooperative, adding that he has not received help from Mtendere Police Station, where the matter was reported.
I went to police, Mtendere Police, then napeza hapo wajananuza timba chinjana. They show me nankandezi chi calendar, so pariba number of 80, there's 2 numbers. What you can get, what these are not our issues, Mtendere Police. These are my issues. Us, we are just assist you, just to assist. But otherwise, kutoka chepacha, God, you can phone them so that they rate you to know system okay. Then after some days, I even go there back then to ask them for Chanakambata in Isameti Papa duty till. So my issues here so is we can't go to arrest him, that person, unless if you sue him.
The 11-year-old boy has also narrated the incident, stating that while he has finished his full dosage of medicine against rabies, he still feels effects from his dog bite.
Sometimes kumangalati ni kuskulu na mvila chepeni hapa ninyeleza sometimes
mkwala unasiza Meanwhile, Zambia Police Deputy Spokesperson has asked the affected family to get in touch with his office to ensure that justice is served. We will continue to make follow-ups on the story as it develops. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security Jack Mwimbo has defended the stay of 22 runaway Afghans in Zambia, stating that Zambia has a mandate to offer safety to anyone seeking refuge, being signatory to various international protocols which guarantee the protection of human lives. Responding to a question raised by Shuangandu Member of Parliament Stephen Kampyongo in Parliament Tuesday afternoon on security concerns, Mr. Mwimbo states that enough background checks have been conducted on the 22 and that Zambia is not in any way at risk. Mr. Mwimbo has further refused to disclose the names of the Afghans or any other information relating to them, stating that he cannot expose those seeking refuge. Meanwhile, Shuangandu Member of Parliament Stephen Kampyongo has challenged the minister to clearly state what law is being used to host them, as he is familiar with laws surrounding asylum seekers, stating that the group is not seeking asylum but is in transit to South Africa. He notes that South Africa at the moment is seriously scrutinizing the Afghans as they ran away from their country and passed through Pakistan, Zimbabwe, and are now in Zambia.
Madam Speaker, there is no risk whatsoever that is being posed to the people of Zambia. We, as a responsible government, do background check on applicants who apply to stay in Zambia either as they are seeking refugee status or applying for any other status. We have a responsibility to check. My colleague, who is seated there, and who is the former Minister of Home Affairs, did consider a number of individuals, some of them whom we are now considering to be inimical to the interest of this country. But we are a responsible government.
Point of order, Madam Speaker, is the Honourable Minister in order to mislead us and the whole nation by saying these people are seeking asylum, from his office in Zambia, when the actual fact, as he stated earlier on, is that they are trying to chance and see what South Africa would do in the court processes they've started. There is no such a provision, Madam Speaker. Yes. He's in order to mislead us here by saying these people have come to seek for asylum here. We know the conventions, Madam Speaker, that govern asylum seeking. We understand. And so, is the Honourable Minister in order to mislead us and the nation that these people are now seeking asylum from his office? I think it's a serious ruling.
A social scientist, Innocent Kolala, has advised the opposition Patriotic Front to handle its internal wrangles with caution or it risks going into oblivion. Mr. Kolala observes that the route the PF has taken is similar to that of other political parties who have lost grip in the political field, such as the Democratic Party, the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, and the United National Independence Party. He notes that Zambia needs a strong opposition to provide checks and balances to the United Party for National Development government, as well as strengthen Zambia's democracy. Meanwhile, Matero member of Parliament Myles Sampa, who is also a PF presidential aspirant, has sued the party's Vice President Given Lubinda, Deputy Secretary General Nixon Chilangwa, and Party Information and Publicity Secretary Rafał Nakachinda for disobeying a court ruling that ordered them to abandon their party positions, allegedly illegally conferred on them by former President Edgar Lungu.
What is happening, for example, in the Patriotic Front, I think it's much to be desired. I think it's very, very much unfortunate because, as we all know, that apparently the only strong opposition political party or big opposition political party is Patriotic Front. But the happenings of the Patriotic Front, soon it is going into oblivion. Because we have seen this, starting from the UNIP. The moment when there is more of intra-party conflicts, I think what it ends up in most cases is the burying of that political party. It happened in UNIP, it happened in MMD, we saw it actually even in DP. In DP, we saw it. We have seen this happening in most political parties. It's very, very unfortunate, and yet we, the Zambian people, we are saying we're a democratic country, the country which believes in multipartism or plural politics. But in the manner it is happening, it's very, very unfortunate. We have seen, of course, that Sampa, he has demonstrated, or he has used his democratic power to ensure that he resolves his issues with his political party using the court channel. Of course, it is within his democratic right, but is it the best way for the Zambian people in terms of having a strong opposition?
Finance Minister Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane has advised the opposition Patriotic Front to thank and congratulate President Hichilema's government for finding an innovative way in financing the construction of the LUSAKA-NDOLA dual carriageway. He made the remarks during the signing ceremony of the concession agreement for the public-private partnership project for upgrading to dual carriageway of 327 kilometers of LUSAKA-NDOLA road, including rehabilitation of 45 kilometers of Luanshya-Fisenge-Masango road in Central and Copperbelt provinces. Mr. Msokotwane has charged that the PF left empty coffers. Hence, they must be surprised that the UPND administration has managed to secure a better deal at $577 million when they wanted to undertake a similar project using borrowed money amounting to $1.2 billion. Meanwhile, Macro Ocean Investment Limited senior consultant Lei Yingji hopes that the financial negotiations for the project will be concluded within 6 months for the company to begin the 3-year construction period.
The construction of the Ndola-Lusaka dual carriage was a controversial subject under the Patriotic Front administration, who wanted to finance the project at a cost of $1.2 billion United States dollars. At the time, many Zambians rejected the project because they felt it was overpriced. However, President Hakainde Hichilema's led government has opted for a public-private partnership model for the construction of the LUSAKA-NDOLA road, including rehabilitation of Luanshya, Fisenga and Masangano Road in Central and the Copperbelt provinces. The event for the Memorandum of Understanding was attended by senior government officials, traditional leaders, and the business community, among other stakeholders. The concession agreement will see Macro Oceans Investment Limited construct the road at a cost of $577 million United States dollars, as opposed to $1.2 billion United States dollars.
Our hope that the financial negotiation will be concluded within the next 6 months, so that the project construction can be commenced. It is also our pleasure that we should ensure the smooth operation of the road while construction work are underway, and provide very good operation and maintenance service after the project is completed.
Finance Minister Stumbeko Musokotwane says the UPND government has done what the PF failed to do while in office by devising innovation to finance infrastructure projects.
You'll be hearing so many stories. For example, some will be saying, but why are they doing PPP road? Why didn't the government do it directly? Well, you are the ones, because the ones who will be saying these things are the very people who got this government, who got this country into deep debt. Yeah. They are the ones who went to collect debt all over the place. They left empty coffers. So if you left empty coffers, how do you expect the government of the day to finance this? If anything, you should congratulate President Hakainde's government.
Minister of Housing and Infrastructure Development, Charles Melopi, says Zambia has gotten a better deal.
The government of the Republic of Zambia is desirous of promoting investment and the participation by the private sector in the development and maintenance of the transportation and the logistics infrastructure in the country. The demand for road infrastructure development in Zambia remains high, whilst the resource envelope is not adequate to bridge the financing gap for road construction, rehabilitation and maintenance works.
The construction works will take 3 years, and overall, Macro Oceans Investment Limited will be in charge of the road for 25 years, but government will have a stake on revenue. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet Television News. We'll take a break. We'll have more stories for you after the break.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 61 07 55 or 0762 16 6018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested, genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
Welcome back. We'll continue with Camnet Television News. Human rights advocate Christopher Shalwa-Vala has urged government to put in place modalities that will prevent sexual abuse on children. In an interview, Mr. Shalwa-Vala says sexual abuse on child victims contributes to the child not being able to freely socialize with others and may negatively affect the victim's emotional mental being.
Is going to be arrested. So to me it requires what I would describe as concerted efforts both from the government and from the community. As you are aware that when we talk about government, we are talking about we the people of the Republic of Zambia. That is why even in a criminal-related matter, when somebody is being arrested and is being prosecuted in the courts of law, we say the people versus that particular person. Meaning we've got a pivotal role to play in our communities and in our society. But the problem is that we also don't help the law enforcement agencies. As you are aware that in order for the police to arrest a perpetrator of sexual abuse to children, there must be what I would call concrete, if you like, corroborative evidence coming from the people who are trying to report a matter, and also the prosecution team that are going to take this matter up in the courts of law to ensure that a prima facie case is established. So to me, I think we need to join hands. We need to work together. No need of
The Angolan government has donated a bust for Angola's first president, Agostinho Neto, to the Lusaka National Museum in an effort to promote relations between the two countries. Speaking when he unveiled the bust in Lusaka today, Acting Tourism Minister Mike Mposha said the erection of busts for the two founding fathers of Angola and Zambia will promote tourism for both countries. Mr. Mposha says Zambia is happy that the bust for Mr. Neto has also been unveiled in Zambia, just like it has been done in many countries where the Angolan leader set foot. And Angolan Minister of Culture Philip Zau says the Angolan government has decided to bring the bust to Zambia because the country played a huge role in Angola's independence. More in this report.
Many countries in Africa fought their colonizers until they got independence with the help of Zambia's founding father, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Angola, being one of the countries that Zambia helped gain independence, today, 28 February 2023, the Angolan government has donated a bust for Angola's founding president, Agostinho Neto, to the Lusaka Museum in an effort to promote relations between the two countries. Agostinho Neto and Kenneth Kaunda worked together when Agostinho was president of independent Angola from November 1975 to September 1979. Speaking during the unveiling of the bust in Lusaka, Acting Tourism Minister Mike Mposha, who is also Water Development Minister, says the erection of the bust for the two founding fathers of Angola and Zambia will promote tourism for both countries.
It was donated by the Agostinho Neto Foundation. Is a gesture to appreciate the close relations between our two countries, which dates back to the support Zambia rendered to Angola during the struggle for independence.
O busto que foi doado pela Fundação Agostinho Neto é gesto para valorizar as relações de proximidade e apoio que a Zâmbia prestou a Angola durante a luta pela independência.
Dr. Neto and Zambia's first president, Dr. Kenneth David Kaunda, worked together to ensure that their countries were liberated from the colonial rule.
And Angolan Minister of Culture, Felipe Zao, says the Angolan government has decided to bring the bus to Zambia because the country played a huge role in Angola's independence. He says Dr. Kaunda provided a free atmosphere for liberation movements and had to utilize the opportunity to train revolutionaries along the Zambia-Angola border.
This is another occasion to remember and reaffirm the brotherhood that unites us in the present case between Angola and Zambia, the territory which is united by a common border and by cultures that are identity, since there are ethnic groups that live on both sides of the political borders.
Meanwhile, Kenneth Kaunda, Children of Africa Foundation Vice President and CEO Sande Musonda, says through remembering Agostinho Neto, it is a reminder of the work, efforts and experiences that the Founding Fathers contributed to Africa, and Kenneth Kaunda actively supporting the independence and liberalization of Africa's territories under colonial rule, racism and apartheid. He said this in a speech read on his behalf by Kawache Kaunda, the son of late Dr. Kaunda.
Today's unveiling reminds us about the lessons that we can get from President Agostinho Neto's life.
E neste ato hoje aprendemos o valor do presidente Dr. Agostinho Neto.
And further, today's event reminds us what we can learn through the relationship that the two, Dr. Kaunda and Agostinho Neto, had together.
E este evento então ensina-nos também sobre a relação que os dois presidentes, Agostinho Neto e Kenneth Kaunda, tiveram ao longo dos tempos.
Zambia will also be donating a bust of Dr. Kaunda in Angola to show the two liberation heroes worked together. Sampa Mulenda reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security Jack Mwimbo has flagged off the sale of cheaper mealie to members of the public in Kabwe this morning. Mr. Mwimbo said that despite efforts by government in supplying huge quantities of maize through the Food Reserve Agency FRA to millers at reasonable prices, some unscrupulous millers have continued to deliberately sell mealie meal at exorbitant prices at the expense of the citizenry. Mr. Mwimbo said government is in a hurry to see stability in the prices of mealie meal and other essential commodities. More in the following report.
In keeping with the UPND campaign promises of making prices of essential commodities affordable by the general public, government through the Zambia Correction Service and Zambia National Service has started selling mealie meal at a cheaper price. And government is also calling for millers to sell their mealie meal within reach of the low-income earners and the general public at large.
In honoring our campaign promise of keeping the prices of essential commodities within reach, government has engaged the Zambia Correctional Service and the Zambia National Service to mitigate the escalating prices, and will be selling the 25 kilogram bags of mealie meal at 150 kwacha breakfast and 120 for a 25 kilogram roller meal.
Government says it is unacceptable to have such exorbitant prices.
Government is in a hurry to see stability in the price of mealie meal and essential commodities within reach of the low-income earners and the general public. It is unacceptable to have mealie meal prices at such exorbitant prices beyond the reach of the general citizen.
And Commissioner General of Zambia Correction Service, Frederick Chilukutu, says Kalonga Milling Plant has the capacity to produce 80 metric tons per day.
The service will from now onwards operate Kalonga Milling Plant at full capacity to produce 2,500 by 25 kg bags of mealie meal per day. The plant will mill 2,000 metric tons per month to produce approximately 64,800 by 25 kg bags of mealie meal to serve the general public.
Home Affairs Minister is confident that this initiative would greatly assist alleviate the burden of the citizenry. Mr. Mwimbu has since urged the people of Kabwe and surrounding districts to plant more maize and sell to Kalonga milling plant.
I'm confident that the initiative will greatly assist, reverse and mitigate the burden on our citizenry. I wish to urge the people of Kabwe, surrounding towns, to take advantage of the Kalonga milling plant by planting more maize, because there is readily available market for your crops.
Helen Wite reporting from Kabwe, Central Province.
Floods and the invasion of 4 armyworms on field crops in Choma district is a double tragedy that is likely to cause reduction in the crop yield. Choma district agricultural coordinator Martin Sekainga says floods have been reported in 4 wards, namely Siamambo, Mbole, Kabanze and Siwanyati. Mr. Sekainga says the total number of farmers affected in the district by floods is 386, while the total area in terms of hectares affected is at 336. Meanwhile, with regards to the 4 armyworms situation, Mr. Sekainga said all the wards and 40 agricultural camps in Choma district were affected. More in this report.
For Choma districts, floods have been reported only in 4 wards. That's Siamambo, Mbole, Kabanze, and Siwanyati wards. Average statistics are that the total number of farmers, households affected in the entire district is 386, and the total area affected in terms of hectareage comes to 336 hectares. The issue of 4 armyworms is slightly different in that it's all the wards that are affected and all the 40 agricultural camps that are in Choma district. The total number of farmers affected is 6,882, and the total hectareage affected by 4 armyworms is 1,581 hectares.
You're watching Camnet Television News. We'll take a break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 61 0755 or 0762 166018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
And now in international news, representatives from 2 of Nigeria's 3 major political parties walked out from the National Coalition Center in Abuja in protest against the irregularities they say were found in results announced so far. Some blamed on glitches with technology heavily deployed in the vote. Several party agents, including those from the main opposition PDP and Peter Obi's Labour Party, alleged there were cases of overvoting and disparities between results announced from some states and what electoral officials uploaded on the Election Commission's results portal. Nigeria's electoral law allows party representatives or agents to raise concerns about results while they are being announced by the Election Commission. Mahmoud Yakubu, Nigeria's election chief, said the results were authenticated by electoral officials at the voting unit, dismissing claims of irregularities. Here's more in international news.
Representatives from two of Nigeria's three major political parties walked out from the National Collation Center in the country's capital, Abuja, on Monday in protest against the irregularities they say were found in results announced so far. Several party agents, including those from the main opposition, alleged there were cases of overvoting.
Our demand is that the system is compromised, INEC is compromised, so the entire process be stalled and cancelled. INEC is compromised, APC have influenced INEC, and we can see results have been changed. We have records of where elections did not take place and results have been prepared. We have records of where the beavers were not used and results have been pronounced. What is difficult in the INEC chairman showing the uploaded results so that we can compare and interrogate that with the presentation that is made by the state returning officers.
Some blamed the situation on glitches with technology heavily deployed in the vote. Mahmoud Yakubu, Nigeria's election chief, said the results were authenticated by electoral officials at the voting unit, dismissing claims of irregularities.
He has refused to listen to us. Who is that? We made observation. He wants us to receive and accept the doctored results that came from the collection center at various states. We do not agree with that, and we have empirical evidence that we have our agents have observed us and they have informed us reliably that the beavers machine have not been used. Where they are used, they are being compromised.
Only 4 of Nigeria's 36 states had officially announced results by midday Monday, with 3 of those going to ruling party candidate Bola Tinubu.
Squashed between the mountain slopes and the Atlantic Ocean, these people are literally building precarious homes on the sea. As Freetown, the capital of Sierra Leone, grows, it's becoming increasingly difficult for the estimated 1.5 million people living there to find a place to stay. It's here I've built my shack house because I don't have the opportunity to buy and build one elsewhere. It's here I'm managing my life with no problem. Faced with the housing challenges, impoverished residents have found a solution called banking, or building up an area on the seashore on which they can construct a home. But this illegal method comes with great risks.
We don't get far now, where it's over 15.
We've witnessed over 15 fire incidents leading to the loss of lives and houses burnt down.
Yes.
And the flooding occurs during the rains and during the dry season. Most of the drainage canals are blocked with garbage. Freetown's population mushroomed during the decade-long civil war when the city was seen as a safe haven. Now 1/3 of its residents live in slums, many of them in these seafront settlements.
So most people were actually migrating from the rural areas up to Freetown, and over time the population of Freetown also increases. And that's actually had a whole lot of increasing demand for housing, and that's resulted to people actually inhabiting some of these coastal settlements.
With rising sea levels due to climate change expected to force millions to move further inland, Freetown's mayor says the solution is to create more economically attractive destinations for people outside the city. The president of Mali's transitional government, Colonel Assimi Goïta, has received a draft copy of the country's proposed new constitution. The document is a key element of the vast reform project it initiated to ensure the return of power to civilians. The final document that I received today will certainly crystallize the hopes of the entire nation for the establishment of a true democracy. This new version of the Constitution comes following amendments made to a proposal submitted in October last year, which was contested by a number of parties and political actors. Anxious to gather as much consensus as possible around this major document, I decided to set up a commission to finalize the preliminary draft constitution. The objective was to take into account the concerns expressed at various levels with a view to maximizing the chances of definitively revising a text that takes into account the deep aspirations of our people as expressed during the National Refoundation conferences. Adopting a new constitution would be an important step along the road to a return to civilian rule promised by the authorities. Dissatisfaction with the old constitution dating from 1992 is seen as a factor in the current crisis.
We now have some sports news. Soccer fans in Lusaka have bemoaned Zambia's early exit at the ongoing Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations. This follows the team's 2-1 loss to the Carthage of Tunisia Monday, 27 February 2023, handing the junior Chipolopolo their second defeat of the tournament. And football analyst Bernardine Kweto says the selection of the team was questionable and has since called for a system that would allow for all 10 provinces to compete before picking the best 23. More in the following report.
Football in the country, which is run by the Football Association of Zambia, has for some time put the country on the map with their commendable performance. However, the Zambia Under-20 national team has been a disappointment to their fans after having drawn 1-1 with Benin, lost 2-0 to Gambia, and the recent 2-1 loss to Tunisia. Speaking in reaction to the Zambia-Tunisia game, which saw Zambia exit the tournament early, soccer fans have expressed disappointment in the team, stating that they expected a better output from the national team.
You know, that's the problem of us in Zambia. We need to select the players who they know how to play football. Now the problem, the coaches are just select the young players. They don't know how to play football, and they are not communicated, and they are not organized. That's the problem. That's why we lost yesterday. So we need to pull up our tokens so that next time we do nice work.
I feel like the coaches should make sure that they pick professionals when it's time for games. Seeing how it went yesterday, the game wasn't so good. Zambia lost to Tunisia, and I feel like that's very disappointing for me as a citizen and as my country losing to Tunisia. So I feel like the coaches should be picking professionals to take part in such games, rather picking people who are not so qualified for the game.
Others spoken to say that the women's national team, which qualified to their first World Cup at the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, have been performing better than the men who have failed to qualify, hence the disappointment. And football analyst Bernard Nkweto says the selection of the team was questionable and has since called for a system of selection that would allow for all 10 provinces to compete before picking the best players. Mr. Nkweto, however, adds that the team's early exit should not pose as a discouraging factor, but rather enable them to up their game and perform at par in the future tournament.
We are expressing our disappointment. You know, it's not a game that we had expected the team to lose. We thought they would do incredibly well considering what was at stake. A loss meant that they would exit the tournament, of which they actually did. When they equalized, we actually thought that they would pull off the strings. We actually thought they would fight for a winner, of which was expected from them, which could have automatically taken them in a second position, but it didn't happen that way. Run away from the fact that you know, this is a building stage, and a wooden lion is actually more dangerous than any other thing. So the boys must pick themselves up, and besides, some of these players are actually playing in top flight football in the Zambian MTN Super League, as well as National League and other provincial leagues. So this was an opportunity for them to start, to acquaint themselves to the pressure that comes with one donning the national team jersey.
Beatrice Chabaya, Camnet News, Lusaka.
To end Camnet Television News, the headlines once again. Government offers fresh deal to MILINGO LUNGU over his freedom. LUSAKA-NDOLA dual carriageway concession agreement signed under the public-private partnership. Parliamentarians question the stay of 22 Afghans seeking asylum in Zambia. In international news, Nigerian opposition parties protest compromised election. And in sports news, soccer fans in Lusaka disappointed at Zambia's exit at the Under-20 AFGHAN. Our Camnet verse of the day tonight is coming from Romans 15 verse 14. I myself am convinced, my brothers, that you yourselves are full of goodness, complete in knowledge and competent to instruct one another. Thank you again for watching Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.